Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. Hi guys, hope you're having a wonderful day. If you're new here, a warm welcome. Thank you for checking out my channel. All I ask is that after listening to and or watching the video, if you find you enjoyed it or learned something, smash that like button and consider subscribing. Now, let's dig in. 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, a highly functional and very intelligent kid from Hendersonville, Tennessee, has been missing since Monday, February 26, 2024. The story his mother, Katie Proudfoot, and his stepdad, Chris, are telling is that Katie went to wake Sebastian up for school. He wasn't in his bed or bedroom. Per Katie, a frantic search of the whole house ensued, but Sebastian was nowhere to be seen. Katie then calls her husband, Chris, who is said to have been out of town in Memphis, Tennessee, working on a construction job for St. Jude's and staying in his RV in an RV park. Sebastian's mom, Katie, later tells Nancy Grace that she was too worked up to get a word out, and that's why Chris made the call. Now, Chris didn't dial 911, but rather he dialed the local sheriff's office at approximately 6:20 a.m. that morning. Mr. Proudfoot said they don't have local 911 service, so he thought it would be faster to go straight to the source, to the sheriff. And that would be the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. The police arrive at the Proudfoot home within 10 minutes. What's odd is that there are no signs of a break-in. The family's two Morkies never barked that night or morning. Sebastian's shoes are still by the front door, where he always leaves them. His Nintendo Switch is still at home, as is his phone, which is found in the kitchen. In addition, Sebastian isn't the type of kid to just wander off in the middle of the night, barefoot and without his phone. Mom Katie does say, however, that a flashlight is missing, and she thinks perhaps Sebastian took it with him. At 5 feet 5 inches tall, 120 pounds, with dirty blonde hair and glasses, Sebastian stands out. He looks very bright, very lively, and again, he's not the type of kid to sneak out in the middle of the night. The rest of Mom Katie's story goes like this. She and the family had a great Sunday. They had dinner at BJ's restaurant and then returned home. Sebastian went to bed at 9 p.m. His bedroom, like the home's other two bedrooms, is on the ground floor. It's a ranch-style abode. Sebastian and his stepsister Faith have rooms on one side of the house. Katie and Chris Proudfoot sleep in the master suite on the other side of the house. Sebastian's room is to the front of the home. Faith's is to the back. At 10 p.m., Katie says she heard a loud thump from Sebastian's room. She called out to him, "Bubba, did you fall out of bed?" "It's the South, dude. Everybody calls everybody Bubba." Sebastian replies, "No, ma'am." Again, extreme politeness rules in the American South. "Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Would you like some sweet tea or a mint julep on the porch?" And that's not me mocking the South. I actually love the South. So Mom Katie's like, no need to open the bedroom door and peek in. Katie says she reads a chapter in a book she's studying for her degree in business administration at DeVry. Now, at around midnight, Katie talks to her husband, Chris. After the call, she puts the two Morkies in a pen that sits inside near the home's back door. Then Katie goes to bed. Everything is normal until she goes to wake up Sebastian in the morning, and she finds that he's gone. That occurs at 6 a.m. An hour after this, Katie calls Sebastian's bio father, Seth Rogers, to let him know that his son is missing. Katie and Chris think perhaps Sebastian wandered down the road to a retention pond, but he's barefoot and he's without his phone, and he's never done anything like that before. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or TBI as it's called, issues an endangered child alert at 11:17 a.m. on behalf of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. They tell the public to keep an eye out for Sebastian, who was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt and matching black sweatpants along with his eyeglasses. They also say that he was seen earlier that day near Stafford Court in Hendersonville. The Sumner County Emergency Management Agency Director Ken Widener said there were more than 200 searches done on the ground on that Monday, with multiple canine teams, mounted units on horseback, helicopter crews, and even drones. The TBI sends out a tweet asking residents in the area around Beach High School and along Long Hollow Pike to check out their outbuildings, garages, and cars. The search teams covered a nearly 5-mile radius that first day. The next day, an Amber Alert is issued around 3:25 p.m. 8 days into the saga, searchers even rig a drone with a speaker, and they play Sebastian's favorite song, Eye of the Tiger, on a constant loop. As the drone flies over the area, a potential sighting is reported on Newman's Trail, but it's not Sebastian. Along with the police are hundreds of volunteer searchers, as well as mountain and cave experts, and the United Cajun Navy, along with EquiSearch Midwest. By February 27th, searchers had covered more than 2,000 miles on foot and been through Sebastian's home multiple times. On Wednesday, February 28th, officials kept searching for Sebastian. 40-degree temperatures and rain are adding to the stress levels. The TBI also issues a statement saying that Sebastian's family want it to be known that they are not in a position to speak to the media. The TBI states it was the family's decision, not theirs. On Thursday, February 29th, officials hold a press conference and they say they've received several tips. After asking residents to check their surveillance cameras, nothing pans out. There's a brief surge of hope, however, when search dogs track a scent, but it turns out to be a false alert. Investigators also drain a pond to the east of Sebastian's home, but they find nothing. On Saturday, March 2nd, a reward of $3,000 is offered for information. On Sunday, March 3rd, Sebastian's mother, Katie Proudfoot, and his stepfather, Chris, speak out, and the reward goes up to $3,500. The parents tell a podcast host details that were not previously disclosed. On Monday, March 4th, law enforcement scales back their ground search, and they transition into what they call investigative mode. Still no Sebastian. On Thursday, March 7th, investigators search a landfill in White Plains, Kentucky, where trash from Sebastian's neighborhood is typically sent. The officials call the search a precautionary measure to eliminate possible options and questions. They said there was no specific information indicating that evidence was there. Still no Sebastian. On Friday, March 15th, the TBI releases additional info. They say there are still few clues as to what happened to Sebastian or where he might be. Officials say the family is being cooperative and there's no proof of criminal behavior. Numerous search warrants are executed by Friday, March 15th, with cell phone data analyzed as well as any other digital evidence. On Thursday, March 21st, Sebastian's biological father, Seth Rogers, begins searching the Natchez Trace State Park, saying, quote, "Someone told Sebastian's mother to search the area," end quote. This area is more than 100 miles from Sumner County. Then, on Friday, March 22nd, the United Cajun Navy is asked to come and search for Sebastian, and Sebastian's mother releases a statement. It reads, quote, "Unfortunately, with no new legitimate leads, our statement remains the same. We're trying to get his face out there to everyone, because I think the more people know and search, the better chance we have of finding him. We do appreciate the support from the neighborhood and community. We want to let the community know that we don't have words to express our gratitude for the support we have received in searching for our son," and we pray that everyone continues to help search and pray that we find him and bring him home safe. The pain of our son's absence is beyond words. We ask that everyone everywhere remain aware and continue to look for anything that can help us find Sebastian and bring him home. Katie Proudfoot. I'm not a behavioral analyst, but I find it odd that it took her all the way to the last sentence to get to the name Sebastian. Wouldn't you think she'd call him Sebastian from the very beginning? Get his name out there along with his face? Since that time, the mother and the stepfather have given some interviews, and they often appear unemotional, without any tears, and the true crime community's overall spidey sense is on high alert. When Sebastian's bio father, Seth, was interviewed, he was crying real tears, and you could feel the emotion and the upset. Seth has recently let it be known that his ex, Katie, and her husband, Chris, are no longer answering his calls or his questions regarding the investigation. That's weird, people. Why not? They are also, Katie and Chris, no longer searching for Sebastian. Apparently, Chris said he had to get back to work, although he was quite ambiguous on Nancy Grace last night when saying if he had a job to go back to. The couple has also let it be known that they're no longer in the family home. They're in their RV at an undisclosed location. They say it's for safety purposes, but this sends up my spidey sense because most parents of missing children stay at home. They keep at least one person near the phone. They put the porch lights on. Sometimes they never move from that home because they still think maybe the child will return. All of this is very suspicious in my opinion. Now that it's been a month, law enforcement has said they're calling off the official searches, and again, as I told you earlier, they're in investigation mode. Sebastian's father, Seth, however, is unwilling to give up, and he's been searching relentlessly for his boy. Now, there's been a lot of confusion about scent dogs, search dogs, volunteer search dogs. The word is that a number of dogs perhaps hit on something, but the police denied this. Honestly, at this point, I'm so confused about the scent dogs. I have no idea if they hit on anything, and if they did, if it was related to Sebastian. Now, because Katie was the last person known to have seen Sebastian alive and well, I would imagine she's at the top of some people's suspect lists. However, she claims that she's taken and passed a polygraph. As for her husband, Chris, he says he offered to take one, but was told that it is unnecessary because he was out of town at the time that Sebastian disappeared. But when Nancy Grace asked him if he would take one, he said he would, and she said she'd hook him up with one. Now, a lot of people don't put a lot of stock in polygraphs. I, however, do. I've taken one for the FBI when I applied to work for them, and that's another bed crime story for another day, but I believe in them. Per Katie and Chris Proudfoot, their home has no alarm system. Nancy Grace outed them on her channel when she asked that. Now, don't nobody run over there and try to steal their stuff. Personally, I would have lied myself if I was on camera and somebody asked me that. I have one because I don't want to be the only house on the street that doesn't have one. Now, at the Proudfoot home, the garage door is opened by a clicker and a code, but per Katie, Sebastian doesn't know how to open that door himself. The doors to the home are locked with a key code, but Sebastian apparently knows how to get in, and he knows the code. And remember that flashlight Katie mentioned? Sebastian supposedly had with him. No one apparently saw anyone in the neighborhood that night or early morning with a flashlight, but then again, they might have all been sleeping, so no alarms went off at the house that night. The house doesn't have motion sensors, and the Morkies did not bark. Katie said her Infiniti SUV was inside the garage, and a work van that she drives for her job as an installation technician was parked in the driveway. But when Nancy Grace asked for the van's make and model, Chris answered and said that Katie's employer doesn't want her sharing that information with the public. Chris Proudfoot's diesel Chevy truck was with him in Memphis, Tennessee. Now the Proudfoots, Proud Feet, not sure how that goes, do not have any ring cameras, but apparently some of their neighbors do. But Katie said it was very dark that night and the ring cameras supposedly didn't pick up anything. But I have a ring camera and it lights up at night when it captures footage. So I'm not sure that that's exactly accurate. Nancy Grace asked Katie if Sebastian could climb out of his window, and Katie answered that there would be mulch and bushes out there, so it wouldn't be an easy escape via the window. Katie also said that there were no arguments prior to Sebastian going missing. Apparently Chris, once years ago, hit Sebastian with a belt on his behind. Chris couldn't remember why exactly he disciplined Sebastian like that. He said it probably had something to do with school, and he went on to say that Sebastian sometimes invades other kids' space and they don't like it. And this apparently leads to problems at school that Sebastian allegedly lies about to his parents. To me, this smacks of victim shaming just a little bit. Katie also said she got in her SUV when she was sure that Sebastian wasn't in the house, and she searched for him. And since Sebastian went missing, that SUV has been searched by law enforcement along with the house multiple times. And when law enforcement recently stopped officially searching for Sebastian, Seth Rogers asked for help, and a lot of people have turned up. Seth Rogers is now asking all locals to look in each and every nook and cranny on their properties because he said he knows his son and he knows that Sebastian could find a really good hiding place. Seth is clinging to the hope that Sebastian is still alive. I pray for that as well. At this point, Katie and Chris Proudfoot are beginning to think that maybe somebody abducted Sebastian. Katie told Nancy Grace, quote, "I feel like if he had been close to home or had walked off, that we would have found him by now with as many people as have been searching," end quote. Today it was announced that somewhere between 10,000 miles and 12,000 miles have now been covered in the search. They've covered everything from ponds to homes to woodland and everything in between. Despite all of this, there's still no sign of Sebastian. You know, like I said, the parents sound a little suspicious. But we've got to think of Polly Klaas. We also have to think of Elizabeth Smart. Sometimes kids are abducted from their homes. But I do think it odd that the dogs didn't bark. No noises were heard other than that thump at 10 p.m. What in the world could that have been? And is it a clue as to what happened to Sebastian? But remember, he said he was okay. He said he didn't fall out of bed. But was he maybe fibbing? Did he want to escape the house for some reason? Does he not like his stepdad? You know, most step-parents are considered evil, no matter how nice they are. That's just the way it is. Lots of things to ponder. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories.